15 spots out of the 30. There is only about 21 pins, I think, between first and last that's out there. So every shot, every spare is going to make a difference to you. So you're going to bowl 2 games. Now bowl a game, skip 4 pair, bowl on the 5th, bowl a game, and we'll calculate that, get to the top 32 for the finals this afternoon. I think it's just about as simple as that. So if you please stand, we'll have the national anthem.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mike Albie's Championship Lanes here in Anderson, Indiana. Scott Gilmore, Mike Albie in the broadcast booth here. We're semifinal round here this morning. The 18th through 48th place is going to bowl 2 games, and we're going to see the top 15 scores here, and they're going to advance on into the match play portion, single game, double elimination round, and 10 pins, Mike, separating 16 players here, and well, you can't get any tighter than that.
No, it's a very demanding condition, and spares are going to be very important this morning, and as it has been, the whole weekend so far. So, got to make the most of your practice balls. They're only bowling 2 games, so it's going to go quick, and you can't sit there and not make moves. Well,
and it's been challenging all weekend. Obviously, Mike Svilar just got on in a zone last night, 299, absolutely incredible. And shot 745. He was almost 60 pins ahead of the second-place finisher. But then it drops all the way down to plus 25 to seed yourself automatically into the match play portion. And then the cut was minus 6 for 48. That is 151 pins separating 48 players. That's just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's really challenging. You look at the scores because we can look at the scores where all 3 games have bowled. If you look at it, I kind of like if you look down the line there a little bit, you see some guys that have bowled big games and low games, big games, low games. Give me the guys that are shooting 220 every game. Those are the ones that I think you got to look out for because that 240 is not sitting out there everywhere.
No, and when you get into a condition like this, which is very challenging, you're going to have some luck at some point in time. You're just not going to be able to split the 1-2 board down the middle every time. So luck will play a factor.
Yeah, and even if you split that 1-2 board, it doesn't mean you're going to be in the right position when it gets down to about 45 feet to where it needs to make its move or not make a move depending on where it's at. So, yeah, it's going to be very challenging. And right now, every time I look up, I see something where I see a design you just don't normally see so far in some of these shots so far. So, yeah, it's going to be challenging today.
Well, we're going to show you lanes 5 and 6. You'll see some of 7 and 8. Then we are down on 9 and 10, and you'll see 13, 14, 15, 16, and parts of 17 and 18 here this afternoon, or I should say this morning. Again, 2 games, pins carried over for positions 18 through 48. They'll add to that 3-game total that they bowled yesterday, and then the top 15 scores will be seeded 18 through 32. So...
And a lot of bowlers here this weekend. Another record.
Yeah, 430 entries. That's telling you you're doing something right here.
Yeah, you continue to grow it, and obviously, from what we've witnessed, the job that Jeff Circle and his staff and crew do here for this tournament is just tremendous, and obviously Championship Lanes here in Anderson is a great venue to be hosted at. You can tell they're difficult because there is just not one angle that everybody's trying to play. Everybody's trying to search with whatever amount of revolutions they have or how much power they have. They're trying to dial in, but there's just no safe place to play out there.
Yeah, we thank you for watching this morning here, the semifinal round from the Indiana Masters. Before we get too far into game number 1, we want to thank our sponsors, Mike Albie's Arrowhead Bowl. See, that's where I was going to bring it in. Big 4 Socks, Pinheads Bowling and Entertainment in Fishers, and Motive Bowling. Also want to thank the Indiana USBC for allowing Savage Bowling TV the opportunity to bring you this wonderful event, really the marquee event in the state of Indiana. Everyone wants to add the Masters Championship to their resume here in this state.
And we've almost filled up with banners, so yeah, we're getting there.
Well, and you look up and down, and obviously they have the Masters mixed in with the Indiana Scratch Classic, but there are a lot of big names. And funny, Kevin McCune, our defending champion, not here this weekend. He's bowling the PTQ for the U.S. Open, which is today at Woodland. And his dad, Eugene, shows up for the last squad last night, and we were asking him, it's like, what are you doing here? And he says, well, I can't let my son be the only McCune with a state title. So it was kind of funny, and Kevin showed up to root on a couple of his friends last night, and we joked about it. And we told him that we were going to have Jeff Circle change his banner, which is out on lane 3, to say the McCune instead of just McCune.
There's some merit to that now.
Absolutely. Well, and I tell you, I told Eugene last night, I said, your son, they're going to know who he is pretty quick, I think.
Yeah, he's a solid player, good kid, and does a great job on the lanes and off the lanes, and he's off to a good start in his career.
Yeah, and Eugene said last night, he still has a little bit of learning to do. There's a learning curve out here.
You can never learn enough. Don't ever stop learning. It doesn't matter how old you are.
Yeah, and that was a question I was going to ask you this morning is, you hear about the young kids on tour, the learning curve, and unfortunately for them, they didn't have the number of tournaments like you did when you were starting and in your prime years. So the learning curve becomes a little more difficult, but you better do it quicker, right?
Yeah, but one thing too, I think you look at the mental part of it, being in the heat situations and things like that. That you can learn, and that carries over. It's how you adjust the lanes and the equipment. Those are the things that you're learning, that you need to continue to learn on. And and if they're young enough, like me, you go through different decades of different types of equipment and surfaces and things like that. And so those, you have to be ready for any kind of those changes as well. But the other thing too, remember the kids nowadays, they've got college ranks to go to where. Back when I started, there was colleges, but it wasn't like it is now. So, but that doesn't take the place of tour events. Right.
Well, and we also, talked last night too, because we're going to be in Fort Wayne next weekend for the Indiana High School Bowling State Finals. When I was young, we didn't have really high school bowling like they do now. So, again, those are great things that we sometimes take for granted. Because 25, 30 years ago, we didn't have them.
No, not at all. And as far as we've seen a lot of great players come through those high school ranks who are now on the Pro Bowlers Tour, so or in the colleges. I mean, we've as an industry, there's been some great things happening, and high school bowling is one of the largest and most greatest events that bowling does now, and it's helped not only the girls, the guys. It's just a great, like you said, a great stepping stone, and it's a great competition too. It's a lot of fun. It's something that if you've never seen it before, tune in and watch. It's exciting.
Yeah, we're looking forward to Saturday next week, and we hope those that are watching the Masters, we hope you take some time out of your day Saturday for some high school action, and it's well worth it. It's one of the most exciting events we do of the entire season. So
I agree.
All right, looking around, we do have some strings out here. Jeff Snuffer looking for...
You're not counting the double, are you?
Well, I'm telling you, yes. And he Jeff Snuffer on lane 3 just made it a 3-bagger.
Yeah,
And, you look at the A bowler on 9, which is Ryan Schlosser, open, and then he goes 3-bagger, and then unfortunate.
Okay, you've named 2. That's all I've seen is 2.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're tearing them up.
Yeah. We did have front 4 over here on 11.
All right. There are a couple, but there aren't many.
Yeah, it's a dogfight out here.
It is.
And in your mind, too, you're thinking, okay, 2-0 is a great score because it's so easy to shoot 160.
Well, and you got to be careful because, you look at what you're doing, which I would always try to keep my head down and not pay attention because I just want to do my own thing. But in this case, it's like you got to be careful because if you're struggling and you don't realize that the rest of the building is struggling, you might do some things that continue to make you spiral down where you might realize, hey, I'm right in the thick of things here. So mentally, it's important to kind of get a know of what's going on around you, but don't dwell on it.
Right, and what we talked about right when we took the air this morning, 10 pins are separating 16 bowlers, and that's one mark.
Yeah. And, you trip to 6 or you trip to 4. Those are huge breaks, but today they're gigantic breaks. Roll a 2-pin or a 3-pin out or something like those are big, especially if they turn it into a double or a continuous string.
Well, and in your mind, it's like, okay, just if you get a break, just throw something good. Don't matter what the result is, just hit the pocket, right? Because you have to try to take advantage of those opportunities when they do arise.
Well, and you really got to once it's out of your hand, you can't change it. It's history, move on, just take it one shot at a time. That's hugely important today.
Well, when I looked over, the front 4 on 11 is Craig Lamond from, he is down in Jasper, Indiana. His dad, Paul Lamond, is the second seed right now in this event. So seniors well representing themselves here. Randy Robertson's bowling right now, a senior player. Danny Clark is bowling right now, a senior player. John Bowerly's a senior player. So
pretty solid senior player.
Yeah, I'll be there next year. Scott Johnson's bowling right now. So the senior players are representing themselves well. One right in front of us, an extremely talented player in Greg Smith. He's won the high roller. So
I'm glad you said talented players are extremely old. I wasn't sure what you were going with that.
No, I would never do that. I would never do that. And one thing you don't want to do, too, that sometimes even I caught myself, is trying to avoid disaster. And when you're trying to avoid it, it's coming.
Yeah.
Because the wrong thoughts are in your mind, right?
There is no way to play it safe. Yeah, it's like anything else. When I was on tour, it's like I did it one time on a show. It's like you only need 8, so you think, I only get 8. Well, you can guarantee you're getting 7 or less. It's just inevitable.
Well, that's like my cousin, Mark Thayer, who, bowled extremely well on tour, never got a win, but he had an opportunity to get one against Brian Voss, and he needed 8 or more to win.
Pinole Valley, California.
Yeah, needed 8 to win, and got 7.
Yeah.
And he hadn't thrown anything less than 9, I think, the entire game.
And Mark Thayer, back in the day, he had revolutions like you see today with a 2-hander. And he was just a one-hander. But it was such a fluid release and power. That ball came off his hand rolling, and just, man, he had a devastating ball and and a great person.
Yeah, and
he just never got the break when he needed it. He was one of those players where you always look at certain guys and think, wow, they look so good, and why can't they win, or why can't they do better? And it's just like, say that case right there. If that turns into a win, who knows how many he wins?
Absolutely. That's what you feel like. We were talking a little bit here about a person that's already Hall of Fame eligible. Chad and I were actually talking about him this morning, and you watched the PBA telecast. You remember probably 10, 15 years ago, I would say maybe even early 2000s, Chris Barnes won a lot, but then all of a sudden he had that stigma of not being able to win on television, right?
Definitely.
Are you seeing similarities with E.J. Tackett on television right now?
See, I think the E.J. Tackett thing about not being able to carry and this and that, sure, he's had some horrible breaks. But he's got 13 titles or whatever, 17 titles. I don't know what's he got.
But Chris had like almost 20.
Yeah, but I think you're right. They're very similar as far as, the talent, the opportunities, and EJ's he's young. He's going to continue to knock on the door, and I think we wait till 10 years after they're done that we compare. Because I think that at this current time, I think you're right. I think they have a lot of similarities, but I think a lot of the EJ thing is just he's on there so much, and hey, if you can look at Earl Anthony, he was second time more than he was first.
Yeah, and believe me, I'm not saying anything negative about EJ Tackett,
right? I don't think you are. No, I don't think you are.
But it's just one of those things where it's one of those.
It's right out in front of your face,
mind,
and it's out in front of your face. Everybody, you see it every time he gets on the show. It's like, oh boy, is he going to be able to carry? It's like,
or the one bad shot.
Yeah. And see, Marshall Holman was that way. Everybody just kept waiting for that one bad shot.
Right.
And I think a lot of it has to do with a couple of those bad shots were big.
Yeah.
You know, so they kind of stick in your mind. And I mean, EJ, I mean, he just goes out there and just does it. I mean, I think that's as long as mentally he can continue to just move on.
Right. Well, there's
nothing
nobody.
to stop him.
There's nobody more talented than EJ Tackett on tour. I mean, he rivals anyone, even Jason Belmonte.
Well, he can.
But Jason's a different player.
Oh, different player. But the fact that he's a one-hander, he's one of the only ones that can neutralize the two-hander.
Right. But nobody's going to question EJ's ability.
No, not at all.
It's just one of those things. Even as good as you are, sometimes you hear stories about the best players in their respected sport needing that reification of, what I need to do on TV, the process or whatever that may be. Even not necessarily talking to a therapist or whatever, but, getting good positive thoughts in your mind every time you step out or step onto the court, on the golf course, on the lanes, whatever that may be. Well,
I mean, you just watch EJ. So first time he leaves something, what's said on television? He can't carry. So the legend continues because they keep kicking the can down the road.
Right.
The key is that as long as EJ's not kicking that can down the road.
Right.
And I don't think he does. I mean, he would not get back to the TV shows and the opportunities to win if if it's really dwelling on him.
Right.
He can be pissed about it, but you can be mad that you're not striking, but it's not one of those things like, gosh, what am I doing? Or it's just, I mean, hey, let's face it, none of us strike 10 out of 10.
Yeah. Looking around here, Jeff Snuffer can strike out for 234 on 3 and 4. Ryan Schlosser's having the game of your nightmare where you strike 6 times, and you got 3 opens with it, and all splits. Craig LeMond is on a 220 pace right now, which is a great score. We have, I think that's, Mike Lish can shoot 190.
Like you said, if you pop a 220, 230, I mean, you're going to pick up some ground.
Yeah. And again, when the scores are so tight, looks like trying to see who we have. Zach Newman with a 5-bagger here on 9.
Well, what's going to happen when you move 4 pairs and bowl on the 5th one after this game? When you go down there, who knows what's going to happen when you make that move.
Yeah, right. Ryan Schlosser with a big strike there, the first ball in the 10th. And he's probably trying to think, what if, right? If
three
just
opens.
Those are spares.
Yeah, 3.
I mean, he's in the 230s.
It's like all 3 are splits.
Yeah. Now here's Zach Newman here on the right lane. He crosses over, leaves just a 5-pin. Then everybody else, I mean, we have a chance. We got somebody here on a 2-0 pace. Then you see a lot of potential 150s and 60s.
Yeah.
I just wanted to avoid the 150 game, and I couldn't. That's why I'm talking to you, Mike. But again, they're challenging, and it tests every part of your game. Can you hit a spot? Can you put the right rotation on? Are you throwing the right surface?
That's a lot of boxes to check just to get the ball in the pocket.
Right, and ball speed was so critical, too.
Right.
When you bowled on tour, what made him tough? Was it the volume or lack of volume, or was it the speed?
It wasn't volume or lack of volume because you always had equipment that could, play whatever's there. It was making the changes and trying to find the pocket to carry, because and being able to find a way to use your A game, one that you were most comfortable with. Now you could use the B game and C game and try to get close and keep you in there, but there's a whole boatload of people who are out there throwing their A game. So you need to try to find something that can help you play your A game and be comfortable with it, so that you can make shots in the 9th and 10th when you need to.
Right.
Like I said, there's way too many good bowlers that are doing it. You know.
Well, Ryan Schlosser struck out for 210. Nothing like having
3 opens for 210.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
But look at him. It's like open.
9 strikes.
Open turkey.
You're thinking 9 strikes, and he just pointed to. He's thinking the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. See, that'll drive you nuts. That's one of those where you just take 210, yeehaw, move on.
Don't look at it. Just say, hey, 210's a great
210.
score.
Yeah.
And Zach Newman shot 221. Snuffer with the first one in the 10th. That's going to put him in the 220s.
Yeah, those are all games that, before you started, you'd say, I'll take that.
Absolutely. Well, if Mike Lish right here can double in the 10th, I would take high 190s.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're not giving up probably anything to the field, really.
And he's +8, so and that one's way right.
Oh, my. Yep.
And he gets 5. Now he's made things really, really tough. But that was the thing, Mike. If you missed just a hair right, it's almost like the lane was tilted to the right.
That ball never recovered.
And the ball just keeps going that direction.
Yeah.
Well, Greg Smith with a spare here will shoot 200 on the nose. Nothing wrong with that. Because you look up and down, I see 158, 175.
Yeah, those are the ones you don't want. Not in the 2-game format here this morning.
Well, at that point, you know what you got to do the next game.
Yeah, you got to have that big one.
You got to have a 220 game. John Burge here in front of us just left the 5-pin, and he's going to shoot in the 170s, and Mike only gets 1. That's painful. And now he shoots 167.
Boom.
Oh, and Jeff just
for
absolutely
count.
whiffed the 3-6-10.
That's just for count, but
still,
you may want that count later.
You may want those 3 pins.
But now, I mean, that's a decision where maybe you change the ball to try to figure out something a little different. But
I get all the pins.
I think that's a tough one because you go 5 pairs down to the right, and where your next pairs could be just not even close to what you're thinking. But
right,
we're all speculating because I don't know what the theory, what he was doing there. So that was just my input there.
Looks like Craig Lamont shot 227, 204. I see. Well, the PTQ started an hour and a half ago, didn't it?
Did they start that early?
Did it start at 8:30 this morning, or I thought it was, or was it 11?
How many? Do you know how many entries they had for that? I don't know if it's posted anywhere.
I think it was in the 90s.
For how many spots?
24.
I think I heard like 99 entries or 100 entries.
They capped it.
Yeah.
Oh, for the PTQ?
Yeah.
And they're taking the top 24.
Well, how'd you qualify for that? What the rules were for that?
Paid the entry fee. And get in
well,
before.
That's the case. Take 200.
And get in before the last guy.
I mean, some of the back when I'm in late 70s, early 80s. I mean, when we had a lot of PTQs. I mean, like you bowled Dick Weber's place, 32 lanes, and if you had a 32-lane center there in Kansas City and another one, you had 24 spots. Usually 25 or less spots, and you had 200 entries. Mm-hmm. And it just, man, those were brutal. But then you went to Detroit, and they had a bigger house, and you had 400 entries for 175 spots. So you just never knew. I mean, it just. But boy, those 32-lane centers were hard to get in.
And they always called those rabbit squads, right?
Rabbit squads, yeah. Well, they called them PTQs, but it was known as the rabbit squad. But they call them PTQs.
And that's what made it so hard.
Oh. Yeah, because I only missed 3 in my career, but I won the 11th tournament I bowled in. So then once you win, then you're guaranteed a year of being out of the rabbits.
Right.
But so I bowled in 8 and I missed 3. The 3 I missed were all in a row.
Right.
You talk about missing 3 weeks and having
what
nothing
do you
to do. Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
try to find a place to practice.
You worked one day.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's depressing. I would go and watch just to try to learn. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a mental rush to trying to keep your head together, especially when you're my first year out. It's like 18 years old, and it's like, oh boy, is this what I'm really going to be able to do or not?
Right. You do start to question yourself, right?
Yeah, and there's nothing like spending your 19th birthday in the Coliseum Motor Lodge in New York City, Long Island. It's kind of like, wow, this is what it's all about here, huh? The Pro Bowlers Tour.
Yeah, work one day a week and
then you
don't get paid.
Yeah, then you go to Las Vegas and you win the PBA National Championships. Then you're still too young to realize what's happening. So it's pretty good.
All those old guys have been bowling for decades are looking at what's this young kid coming in here doing.
Well, I'll say one thing. When my first ever PBA tournament was 1979, the Showboat, and my parents gave me that trip as a vacation, as a Christmas present. So I got to go out at 18 and bowl the Showboat Invitational. I crossed with a Hall of Famer, and we were on A squad, and I averaged 190 for the term, but this Hall of Famer shot 150 over. And we come back for C squad, and this person is wearing the same clothes he wore the day before, and he shoots 150 under on that squad. Next day he comes in all refreshed, 150 over, makes the finals. So it was just like, wow. I wasn't sure how to process all that, but it was quite interesting.
Are you taking notes?
Yeah. Yeah, so it was interesting, to say the least, and it was an experience. I got to see some people. I met one of my future roommates there, and I roomed with on tour after a while, and I tried to play some nickel slots, but which I did because I was 18. Nobody knew it. Nobody knew who I was. But when I went back there and won the PBA National Championship, tried to do the same thing. Then they knew who I was.
And
I was not allowed to do that. Yeah. So.
Thanks to national television, right?
Yes, exactly.
Well, Scott Gilmore, Mike Albee here for the second round or semifinal round of the Indiana Masters here in Championship Lanes. And Game 1 just finished. We'll try to update the scores as soon as we get them. But we thank you for watching this morning. And, again, if you haven't participated in this event and you're a bowler out there and you'd like to, I encourage you to come. It's challenging, but that's what it should be when you're bowling for possibly the biggest state title that Indiana has to offer. So, anyway. And guys, you could just tell that every shot is so critical. And, when lanes play tough, that arm swing's hard to get loose. And the guys that can get their swings loose are going to have an advantage.
Well, and after making the move here, they've moved, 4 pair and bowling on the 5th pair now. This first frame is hugely important, not only to you've got to make a good physical shot so that you're able to make the adjustments on whatever the lanes are doing differently if they are.
All right, players are moving, and like you said, Mike, you move a ton of lanes. So we got Randy Robertson, Scott Johnson on 3 and 4. Stephanie Stockstill is on 3 and 4. She was the cup. She probably wants me to let the bowling world know that she beat her husband by 2 pins. He misses. She makes it. So, sorry, Brandon. Anyway, we also want to thank you again for watching. John Riffle, thanks for watching out there. Good friend David Savage, brother of Scott Savage that got all this started with us. He came in last night and helped us call the action for the final squad, and he's out there watching. David, we appreciate you taking the time this morning. And again, if you have any questions for myself or Mike, you probably want to ask Mike more than me. He's got a lot more answers than I do. But feel free to chime in on the chat. We're right here. My laptop's looking right at it, so feel free to shoot us a question, and we'll try to answer it to our best ability. Danny Clark, Dwayne Burton right in front of us here on 7 and 8. Matt Roberts is here on 5 and 6. TJ Schmidt, a winner of this event and the Scratch Classic back in 2016, or actually he's won both in 2017, won the Masters in 2017, followed that up with the Scratch Classic win in 2017. He's on 9 and 10. So a lot of talented players here this weekend, and I think the finals could be very interesting.
Well, on this demanding condition, I mean, anybody that's in this field is a darn good bowler. I mean, they have talent and throw the ball well, and because this is quite demanding.
Kind of go over here the guys guaranteed into the top 32 match play. Mike Svilar, your number 1 seed, Paul Lamond, Cameron Bollinger, Bailey Maverick, Jimmy Cook, John Bowerly Jr., Dylan Holford, A.J. Roach, Jeff Accord, Chris Safarth, Corey Hersha, Chris Nunn, Ben Caldwell, Ryan Burton, Joey Criswonos, Jason Miller, and Scotty Kramer III. Those are the 17 guys locked in. A little bit, we'll get to it a little bit later, but remember that name, Bailey Maverick. We'll get back to that here later on as we get into match play, but we'll give you a little bit of scoop on that, so that'll bring you up to date. And Dwayne Burton with a strike in front of him. He's got a double. And there's nothing better than starting out with the first 3 or 4 on this type of a condition.
Yeah, it's hard not to get excited about that. I mean, you've got to just out there. It's really, you want to make sure you keep an even kill. I mean, you get too overexcited, and then all of a sudden you become a little more aggressive, and then you start hitting the ball a little harder, and changes the whole outlook of what you just did, because it doesn't take much to change the look of your bowling ball out there.
Right.
And give me that trip for Brooklyn anytime.
We should get scores here soon, and then Matt Roberts just missed a 7-pin, and that's what you can't do.
Wow, great shot.
All right, we're down on 15 and 16. Jason Flaw on the left lane here. This guy is not flashy, but he just gets it done. One of the better clutch bowlers you'll see in the state of Indiana. I bowled in a trios event in Fort Wayne one year, and with Jeff Mann and Jeff Grego, and Jason was bowling with his brother Justin and Doug Cutler, and Jason had just kind of struggled, and we were bowling Bakers obviously in the finals, and Jeff Mann gets up and leaves a stone 9-pin and spares and gets a count, and then Jason has to come up in the 10th frame and double in the 10th to beat us. Actually throw all 3. And he gets up there, and he hadn't struck that whole game, and just threw 3 of the best shots you'll ever see and struck all 3 times, and we finished second. So Jason, if it comes down to it, he's capable of performing in the clutch better than most, that's for sure. Dwayne Burton with another strike there on 7.
Good shot.
Saw that on the right side of your screen there on the left. We got double boxes here going for you. Oh, we also have the father of Scott and David, Bill Savage, on the chat stream. Good morning. And David said that his dad is pretty much, they're trying to convince him to be Santa Claus. His dad's got the nice big silver beard and hair to go with it, so always love to see Bill.
Thank you to the Savage family for, what you do for bowling here in Indiana. We are so fortunate to be part of Savage TV Bowling, and it's just it's a great opportunity, and just it's like nobody else has. I tell you, it's going around the country. I like to talk about it, and the other state people I talk to can't believe what we are able to do here. So thank you for the opportunity.
Ooh. Looking around here, so we got a couple of bowlers with the front 3.
And that's huge when you make the move with no practice. That's hard to do.
We got front 5 down here. One thing that we noticed last night, Mike, 11, 12, 13, and 14 had some really big games. We saw multiple guys with the front 7. John Bowerly on 9 and 10 had the front 7 and left a 4-pin in the 8th.
Well, that'll be interesting once we get to match play. If that plays out, boy, I'll tell you get on pairs like that, and it can definitely, obviously, affect the outcome.
Well, -5 right now is the number for the top 15 in this squad. So, again, they took their qualifying score from yesterday, pins carried over, and they're going to take these 2 game totals and add them together, and that's how we get our. But Craig Lamont shot 227, Devin George 229, Danny Clark 232, Zach Newman 221, Jeff Snuffer at 218, Josh Vaughn shot 215, Aiden Fellows 210, along with Ryan Slosser. So
about a third of the.
About 50 pins now separate the leading guy in this 2-game round to the bottom qualifier. But then you get right in here, and you got 1 pin. Jason Flaws behind by 1, Matt Roberts 2, Randy Robertson 3, Matthew Wilhite is minus. He's only 3 behind. you got, 6, 7 pins separating, 5 or 6 guys for that last spot. So
only about a little over a third of the field shot 200.
Players like Mike Lish, they're going to have to shoot a big game to get back in this, as he's looking at a 20-pin deficit.
Yeah.
So he knows in his mind he's got to shoot 220 and then hope some of these guys up
Fall
here
back.
falter.
But then we're looking at a couple of strings here, and what are those scores? What do they have?
Yeah, Danny Clark just missed the 3-pin. You just don't want to give a whole lot back.
He's got some room, but yeah, you don't want to do that too much.
Yeah, Dwayne Burton just right above the cut number here at 800 after 4 games, and he's got the front 4. Well, the bowler who had the front 5 down there just went 9 miss. That's one way to negate 2 of those strikes, isn't it?
Yeah, whoever had the first 5, it doesn't matter where they're at on this page. They put themselves in contention.
You don't want to get too far in advance, right?
No,
you want
not
one
at all.
frame. You don't. The old cliche: you bowl 1 frame at a time,
Yeah.
and
Nothing you can do once it's out of your hand, and you can't do anything about the one past the next one. So it's only the one you're throwing.
now Dwayne Burton right here in front of us. He's on the right side of the left side box. Just let go. He's got the front 4.
Oh my gosh.
Leads 10-pin.
That was high flush Brooklyn. I would have taken that. I can't believe he left the 10. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I would take. I wasn't going to be judging any of my strikes.
Nope.
Not on this.
Just smile and shake your head up and down. Yes.
And Jeff Hudson, we'll get to your question here soon. Actually, it looks like Chad is working our chat. He's answered away.
Yeah, but we'll get more in depth in that later.
And good spare there for Dwayne.
Yeah, you don't want to let that get away from you there. Yep. Another single pin. And the thing about the single pins, I mean, it's not like, the bowlers are out there, you're just not thinking about it. And that, it's tough enough to hit the pocket, and some of the angles or some of the lay of the land, what the lane is to get to those spares isn't normal either.
Right. Well, and, he's right there. He was only 2 pins out of the number. And, he's giving away 33 pins and makeable spares.
Yeah.
And you just don't have those kind of pins to give away.
Yeah, that's a lot of wood.
Now TJ Schmidt here on lane number 10.
Beautiful shot for a solid 10. Great shot, though. Wow.
And that's the thing, too, is when you throw it that good.
Yeah,
you
just don't get rewarded. Yeah,
you just want the strike, right?
Yeah, it was a pretty shot.
And he's only got 1 so far in this game, but he's got, again, he's only 9 pins ahead of the number. Dwayne coming in high, leaving the 3-6.
It's a good break there. Yeah, good break getting that knocked down.
Matt Roberts comes right back after the single pin whiff and leaves the Greek Church. And that's probably going to call it for him. Good spare there by TJ. And Danny Clark with the high flush strike. He's got a double now after the...
Yeah, good shots. Good shots.
I'm going to give him a hard time because... I'm going to give him a hard time because, Danny, you only missed that 3-pin by that much. Oh, my goodness. But, you know, he's right there.
Oh, yeah.
He's got some pins to give. There's nothing better than having a few pins to play with, right?
Yeah, because they don't matter after this.
Right.
They just matter for this one.
You just want to get in that top 32, and then all bets are off at that point.
Yep. Just give me all the good pairs.
Yeah, right. However, we're going to see as we go in through the match play portion.
If there are any good ones.
Well, yeah, but you're going to start seeing guys that you can start pointing that are going to be like Kevin McCune last year. You just saw him, even though he lost early, he was shooting 225 to 240 every game.
Yeah. No, he was. That's why I said if somebody's shooting 220, 220, yeah, give me that person, because they've got it figured out from pair to pair. Doesn't mean you're not going to hit a buzzsaw, but at least you know that they're going to get lined up early. Starting to get to the back end of this game, about 3 or 4 frames to go, so now's the time to put together a good finish.
Got a person in the chat says wondering if any of the bowlers still use older equipment. And he said he still uses his original Fab black hammer.
Boy, that was a great ball. That ball was another one of those that kind of changed the whole dynamic of the tour there for a while. You know, it came out, and man, everybody had to have one of those.
And what a perfect name for it too, the hammer.
Yeah.
Right.
And and they went off. Then different color hammers, the nail. All those different versions of that. They come out with a great equipment. I think that I don't know if the original ones are still out there. Anybody's using any of the original ones, but there are versions of those balls still around. I think last night even on the show was it Fock? He had a black hammer he threw at one point trying to make that right lane work. But
yeah, and it's probably one of the newer ones.
Yeah, newer ones.
Yeah.
I doubt if anybody has any of the older ones.
Yeah, those are all urethane.
They're like 500. They're like 500 a piece or so on eBay if you have them. I think.
But the new urethane has a little bit of resin in it. Right, Chad, you got something?
Yeah, speaking of the black hammer, I had one of those probably 8 or 9 years ago. I found it on eBay brand new, and I actually got it for $50.
Oh, wow.
I got lucky. So
Did you drill it?
Yeah, spare ball.
Oh, bad move.
I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Especially if you're looking to invest.
I still have a original blue hammer that Mark Thayer gave me when he was on tour. And
Did you drill it?
Yeah, I plugged and re-drilled it, but that was a long time ago, Mike.
All right, okay.
It already had holes in it.
Right.
It was his, and it had that. Remember when you guys used to put that little unique stamping, that little tiny,
mill hole,
yeah. That's when you knew it was a PBA.
Yeah, the mill
ball.
hole is just a little drill bit that just went. Gosh, what was it? Probably a 1/16 of an inch below the surface, just so that they would durometer. Because when they first came out, when they started using durometers in the late 70s, they were looking for soakers. So the surface could be one thing, but when they went down below the surface and durometered, that would tell them then if somebody had used something to soak the ball with. And
right.
That was the whole idea with that. And they found out that once you took those home and you saw a little mill hole on there, they knew they came from the tour. So, hey, you might make extra money if you sold them.
I don't throw it anymore because it's 16 pounds. And
getting too old for that?
Yeah, I'm getting too old for that, Mike. I'm about to go to 14.
Well, you mentioned the senior thing, so I picked up on that.
That's an automatic drop in weight.
I'm throwing 14 now, so that's
right. That's an automatic drop in weight, right?
Yeah.
Also, hey, Butchie85 out there said, Scott, you have some pretty nice finishes in the Masters yourself, correct? Yeah, I don't toot my own horn much, but I've finished second in this tournament 4 times. And so, yeah. It became kind of the running joke that if whoever was in the finals and I was their opponent, they had better than a 90% chance of winning the championship.
Yeah, I don't like that joke.
Yeah, I know. But
and wasn't 2 of those years back to back?
Yeah, back-to-back
really?
years.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not.
That's tremendous bowling. Yeah, I mean,
I'm
it's
not
tremendous bowling. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. What ifs always ran through my mind. If I would have won 3 of those, I'm not sure anybody would ever have passed that.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, it was quite painful. But that's why I still have the competitive juice for this tournament, and And TJ Schmidt with the Bo Burton game going, almost the old all-spare. He did throw a strike in there in the third. We have someone watching from Crystal River, Florida. Hey.
Don't ask him what temperature it is.
Do me a favor. Get the biggest box fan you have in your house and point it north and send some of that warm air this way.
Wow.
Now, Mike, you're into that hockey stuff. You own an ice rink.
That don't mean I like it cold. It can be.
You just utilize it, right?
Yeah. I'm ready for spring.
Right. Taylor Mayfield said, bought a 94 Blue Hammer last year from my Wood Lanes in Versailles, Ohio. 646 with it last week. The old, how many centers do you see anymore with all wood surface?
I saw somebody bring that up on Facebook the other day about are there any Wood Lanes out there anymore? A few people popped up and said, yeah. So yeah, it's a whole different game on the Wood Lane. It really is. Unless you've got the opportunity to bowl on it. I mean, bowling on these tabletops. I mean, it's totally different.
Well, and it's just
especially if the finish is no good.
Yeah. Well, and financially, it's just not smart for bowling centers anymore, right?
Not. Yeah, I mean, the synthetic lanes are much better as far as consistency and all that. You don't have to recoat them every year and sand them, and a lot less maintenance on them. Mm-hmm. And they look good and they glow well when if you have cosmic and those type of glow bowling events. But and they look good.
Well, nothing beats. I'll be honest with you. Nothing beats maple heads, the original wood maple heads. I mean, it's just they're neat.
Traditional look, and the whole thing. I agree. Just the tabletop it's a picture. Is all it is. But the wood lanes are quite historic, and there is something said about the smell of the finish, and it just takes you back.
Hey, we got someone watching from Athens, Greece. Good morning. Yourself.
It's got to be warm there.
Yeah, he says, I really enjoy your streaming along with the great game tips out of Mike's big experiences. Yes.
Well, thank you. Yeah, thanks for watching.
Absolutely. Hey, we are very fond of people from Greece because they've blessed us with some really talented football players at Purdue with George Karloftis and Yanni Karloftis. So, yes. Thank you for watching. And, to be honest with you, right there is the beautiful thing about internet TV.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Anybody in the world can watch.
Very
Where
cool.
do you get that at, right?
Yeah, no, it's great.
And for free.
Somebody even has one of my signature bowling balls out there. Is it April? April.
Was that the MVP?
Yeah, Mike Colby MVP.
I think I had one of those.
Yeah. Do you have any of those new in box?
I do have one of those left. But
well, you're a collector. I'll never get anything from you.
But that ball actually, Steve Jarrow shot 300 with it on TV on one of the tour events.
I need to get one of your old signed shirts that I can frame in my basement.
Well, you need a new dartboard? Or?
No. I would hang it with pride. The darts don't stick to cotton.
Oh, you just brought up shirts because I'm wearing the wrong color.
Oh,
shirt
I know.
Today.
Yeah,
that's all.
Yeah.
I knew it was coming around.
Mike Albee can split hairs on the bowling lane, but he's colorblind.
Yeah.
That was the running joke. But hey, we love the chat. We love you guys chiming in. We have. Matthew King says, hey, Mike, you remember Lyndhurst Bowl?
Lyndhurst Lanes, on the west side of Indy. They one of the highest scoring centers in the state, if not the country, there for a while. I mean, some of the great Indianapolis bowlers just tore that place apart. But, yeah, it was a great place. I bowled there in youth leagues through the